Welcome to Comfy Havoc number 2. Let me explain Peace for One Day. This song hit me one day when I was walking to work when I got my new phone finally activated. Okay, that's pretty much the gist of that. But that last song, that last video before this video, which is like 6 minutes long, the person that I was in the song was unalived by the kid who would grow up to become a cop, who had married the daughter of mine when I went on a fishing trip and never returned. The kid that would become a cop, dad was a racist piece of crap who wouldn't let that kid engage in any conversations with the young mixed girl that he would eventually marry and arrest his father and walk him through the town and arrest all of his friends in the Triple K movement and lock them up for the murder of me. Now that song may be a little bit brutal for you to understand. So let me put it to you in layman's terms and let me play nice. Let me play real nice and let me get up on the camera for you. Racism is taught. That's the gist of that. Racism is taught. I wasn't taught racism as a kid because I'm mixed. I am living proof that most mixed kids don't have the right to be racist, and most of us are not. But we take a lot of hits from racist children who look at us and say, you're a half-breed, you're a zebra, you're a Susie Q, you're a mutt, you're not really one of us, you're never going to be black, you're never going to be white, you're never going to be native, you're never going to be, you're never going to be, you're never going to be. We will never have true and total peace until we can get past racism. And I'm not saying that you have to date out of your race. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you have to mate out of your race. Preference is preference. It is what it is. But you don't have to raise racist people if you yourself are a racist. Now, whoever hurt you and made you a racist, or whoever raised you to be a racist, is the person that you need to take into account. And you need to have a confront with them. Most people who raise racists don't raise people who aren't going to be racist. If racism is your family thing, it's going to be your family thing for the next 10, 20 generations. But eventually, one will break that generational curse. One will discover, you know what? This has never been right. And though they may be disowned from the family, they are going to make a decision that would be the correct decision to live their life above racism, to see people as people and not the color of their skin, to help people regardless of gender or the color of their skin. I'm not going to say they're going to trust everybody, and you probably shouldn't. Trust should be earned just like respect. But there are going to be cases where that person is going to decide to not to follow the family tradition, to not be a racist, to not be a human piece of filth, to not be the people like the Unite the Right that came through with the tiki torches saying Jews will not replace us, and then plowing one stupid kid who drove his car and will never see freedom again, to be a martyr for the cause of racism, killing one young white lady named Heather Heyer and plowing through a fuck ton of black people to do it for the goal of racism. Peace for one day is to make sure that shit like that never happens again. If you are racist and you choose to raise your kid as a racist, understand one of two things is going to happen. Your kid going to be racist at the wrong moment, and they're going to learn real quick that calling someone the N-word is not a good fit. When I was in grade school, I had white friends. I had black friends. I lost most of my friends because I'm mixed, but I lost some of my best white friends because of an action of a friend of theirs who called me a nigger. She literally looked me in my face, and yeah, I said the word again. She literally looked in my face and she said, James, you're a nigger. James, without consciously thinking, left hand to her mouth. I was raised to never hit girls. even my sisters. Although I did hit them back. I didn't give a fuck. Fuck that shit. If you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. That girl did not hit me. She gave me verbal fisticuffs where she literally looked me dead in my face, and I'm gonna say it again. She said, James, you are a nigger. And James, pow! Right in the mouth. I had a friend named Josh and a friend named Becky. Both white people. Josh and Becky never spoke to me again. The girl's name was Christina, the one I hit in the mouth, at Burley Moran School in Charlottesville, Virginia. That day taught me two things. Two things. Racism is taught to children. Kids aren't racist. We teach them racist. Shout out to Mr. Garrett, because I had to go to the office after busting her lip. And Mr. Garrett coaxed that word out of me. And he's like, James, you have never been in trouble a day in my entire principalhood. I've watched you break dance on stage. I've watched you play Tiny Tim. I've never had to have you sit in my office. At all. What happened? And I kept telling him I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Well, you need to talk about it. And I was like, no. It's like, well, what did she say to you? I'm not allowed to say, because we don't use that word in our house. He said, you need to tell me what she said, because this is bad and you busted her lip. I said, well, if I say the word, my mama's going to whoop my ass because we don't use that word in the house. And what did she say? This took about an hour for him to get this shit out of me. And I told him, she called me a nigger. He said, what'd you say? She called me a nigger. And he was like, go back to class. You could have saved us a lot of fucking problems by just saying that. I'm not mad at you. And at your age, and that response, I would have done the same thing. And this is a white man who's Italian from New York. And I sat in that damn office for almost 2 hours because I would not tell him that she called me a nigger. That still stings because Josh and Rebecca, they both moved to Roanoke before we got out of that school. And they never spoke to me again because this young white girl called me a nigger and I busted her lip. I'm in the wrong for busting her lip because you should never hit girls. But there's probably an exception for the rule of her being a racist prick. Alright? So later, because I couldn't ride the bus home because I got in trouble, so my mom had to come get me. My mom is very white tea presenting. So I'm sitting in one station, the girl's sitting in another office, and the parents come in because my mom has to come pick me up from school, so she got off from work. This is another part where my life goes to hell in a handbasket. So they're talking, and we can hear them. We're kids. We're not stupid. We listen. And so her family is like, when they saw my mom, they thought that I was a white kid. I was like, well, why would he punch her in the mouth? He was like, Mr. Garrett explained, he's like, yo, you know, if you're going to teach your daughter to be racist, I don't want that shit in my school. That's why your daughter got her lip busted. But what did she do? She called a black kid a nigger. That his mom looks white. And my mom goes, I'm mixed. I'm very white presenting. My dad was mixed. I'm mixed. My mom is mixed. And so, he said, well, why did you raise your... Hold on. I didn't raise my son to hit girls. In fact, it's the last thing that I raised my boy to do. This is one of the first times my mom actually stood up for me, y'all. And Mr. Garrett looked and said, ma'am, I got this. And Mr. Garrett jumped down on her parents and said, yo, I don't play that racist shit here in my school. I'm from New York. We don't call black people that shit up there, regardless of what they look like. We don't use that word. I'm from New York. Your daughter's lucky that all he did was bust her lip. This could have been real bad. You tell your daughter not to call another person of color that, or you don't bring her back to my school. Because everybody was blaming him for it, but your daughter started it when she looked him dead in the face and called him a nigger. No, we don't do that here. Everybody here is a student. Doesn't matter their color, doesn't matter their gender. They're students. We don't use racial shit here. Again, thank you, Mr. Garrett. And for Jennifer, I'm sorry I bust your lip. You'll probably never see this video. And for Becky and Josh, who never let me explain what the fuck happened. I'm sorry. You were white people. You weren't the half-breed. You weren't the one standing beside her when she said that shit to my face, because you were on the other end at the playground where she literally came to me and said, James, you are a nigger. Let that sink in for everybody who watched this and heard me use the word nigger about 9 fucking times. Let you be the 5th grade or the 4th grade or the 3rd grade student that has to hear that come from somebody who does not look like you, and say that shit with no conviction, with no sorrow, and no justification for saying it. A hi and a fuck you would have been nice. No, it was James, you're a nigger. We were not allowed to use that word in my family. And I turned around that weekend and called my uncle that shit. And luckily he didn't beat my ass. But that is why we never ever used that word in our family. Even when gangster rap came out, we didn't use that word. Children are not racist. They are taught racist by racist people. Don't raise another racist. My name is Echo Fang Grey Wolf, aka James Williams Jr. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. I hope that explains the last song that's 6 minutes, the ballad. And if it doesn't, well, then you probably need to reevaluate yourself. The character was unalive the night before, burnt, but his ghost woke up to the sun shining. He went over the hill to see his body. And after getting over the hill and seeing his body, at some point, he does get to see justice before he goes off into the afterlife. Justice by the lover of his daughter, who's the son of the fucker that killed him. That's the story. Hope you guys like it. My name is Echo Fang Grey Wolf. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. Be seeing